Hello there everybody, it is me Leo and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we're building a house called the Nautical Mansion, and this house, as the name implies, was inspired by nautical New England seaside architecture. The house itself has a total of 4 bedrooms and 3 full bathrooms, and this build is actually a part of the Brindleton Baes Collab I'm doing with a bunch of other people. This is actually one of 2 builds that I'm doing. I will link down the other build in the description below if you guys want to check it out as well. But I'm doing this with a couple of my friends, namely Devin Bumpkin, Irrelevant Sims, Harry, Penelope or Pineapple, Simlissy, and Gavin Sims. I think that's all of us. There's a total of 7 of us doing this collab, and there's 16 lots in Brindleton Bay, and our goal was basically to give Brindleton Bay a head-to-toe makeover, so all of the lots will be remodeled and rebuilt from scratch, and I am so excited because with 7 of us, there's such variety when it comes to our, point of views as designers, and that's gonna make a pretty interesting makeover for the world. So, you guys will be able to download all of the lots individually if you want to, or you guys can also download a save file of the world containing all of the lots remodeled into our builds. So, I will put links to all of those in the description below, as well as links to everybody else who was a part of this collab. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say in terms of the collab. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the build itself. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this build was inspired by some of the houses I've seen in New England, and I really tried to keep the style consistent with what I've seen in reality. So I basically started with this barn roof type part of the house, and that makes up the main section of the house. And then in front we have this 3-story tall kind of like steeple watchtower thing, which I also saw New England homes have a lot of it. Like I definitely saw a lot of like observation towers in like the homes that I was looking at, and this one in particular was actually inspired by a house I've seen in Maine. So if you guys just Google like Maine like seaside home or something, it should probably pop up. I never really thought about making a house that had this kind of like 3-story tall steeple, but I've seen the house in Maine and I was like, wow, that's possible. So I just kind of copied it. But yeah, pretty much the rest of the house has like this barn type roof, and most of the second floor is actually on or inside the roof. So I think it's also possible to say that this is a 1.5 story house. I will warn you guys in advance that there is a bit of clipping happening with the roof. There's just no way to avoid it whatsoever. But it's really no big deal. If you play with the walls down, it's barely noticeable. So just giving you guys a heads up. And I just went crazy with adding all of these steeple elements and all of these like really fun kind of like I don't know, fun like country-esque architectural details. I don't even know if it's considered country, but it's just a lot of like really interesting and intricate little details. So at the back here, we are working on the back patio, and I just experimented a little bit with what shapes were possible with the new roofing options, and I definitely maximized the new roofing options like in this build because like I'm just so excited. And you guys know that as a builder, like it's a big deal for us to have more roofing options, so I'm super happy that they gave us. And as you guys can see, there is no shortage of that in this build for sure. I'm also using these pet steeple items over here, just I don't know, in an interesting way to really bring out like that kind of like seaside beachy country feel. So I basically chose a light blue color scheme for this one. Of course, I was going for that nautical themed, so there's definitely an abundance or maybe an overabundance of blues and navy blues. So the base color is this light blue clapboard that came with pets, and then I also used some accents of this base game siding, which I believe that recolor that I specifically used, that indigo water, that indigo recolor. I don't know why I wanted to say watercolor. Oh my gosh, literally dyslexic. But yeah, that indigo recolor of that siding, I'm pretty sure that wasn't there before, so I think it might have been added in like a patch or something, but I really like how that siding looked like as well. I also wanted to use some more contemporary windows with this one. I didn't want to go all out traditional. There are some traditional windows and there are also some contemporary ones. I know that I used some really, really large glass windows that I believe also came with a patch a couple of months ago, but I felt like using those really large glass floor-to-ceiling windows kind of like made it look a little bit more contemporary. So this build is definitely more traditional contemporary in style as opposed to just traditional. And what I mean by that is traditional contemporary, I mean, a lot of you guys probably already know what traditional means, but contemporary actually means the architecture of today. So it could literally be anything. And what I mean by traditional contemporary is that it is a contemporary, or it is a building of today that was designed to look traditional. So a lot of the design features that would have been functional, such as the corbels and the gables and the columns, they're all decorative in this traditional contemporary style that I went with. I also did this like really nice kind of like semi-octagonal room over here, and that is going to be a kitchen in the future, and it is one of my favorite rooms in the entire house. So this is just me repositioning the entire lot because I wanted to have enough space in the backyard. Oh, by the way, speaking of space in the backyard, I did design this for a pet. So the family that lives here, I didn't really think about them that much. The only thing I kept in mind is that the family that lives here kind of like has an ancestor that was a sailor. You know, they had an ancestor that was like an accomplished sailor, and they also have one pet. So I designed this for a cat. So there are items in this build that makes it possible to have a pet cat. One thing that you guys will notice is that the rooms on the downstairs are actually pretty large and pretty spacious, and the rooms on the upstairs are a little bit more intimate and less grand. For the paints, I actually went really contemporary. I just used these really simple base game paints with top and bottom molding, but to kind of give it a more kind of like interesting aspect to it, I added some brick walls as accents as well. So this is where I was decorating the kitchen area, and I have to say that the kitchen is one of my favorite rooms I've ever built in The Sims 4. It was amazing. I was a little bit flustered at first. I was a little bit confused on how to do the layout because there were so many floor to ceiling windows. I couldn't place every appliance where I wanted it to. So basically, I decided to combine the kitchen and the dining room into one, and I got rid of that divider that used to be there in the middle, and I basically just, you know, made like a free-flowing open plan layout for both the kitchen and the living area, and I am so proud of this, you guys. It's just so different from the other kitchens that I built before. And I really wanted to experiment with like the shapes and with like the different, different shapes and different kind of like spaces, I guess. And let me tell you that The one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that even though this looks really kind of conceptual, it is actually really functional as well. Like the Sims, they will cook, they'll eat at the dining room, they'll do everything expected of them, so no worries about that whatsoever. I also discovered like one of my new favorite lights doing this. I love that light over there that came with pets. It has this kind of like rustic countryside industrial feel, if you guys get what I mean. So I actually do something a little bit special with that light later on, which I won't talk about because I also do it in the balcony area outside, so I'll talk about it there when we get to it. But over here, I'm just experimenting with these island counters because I didn't quite know what I wanted to do with them. I didn't want them to just be in the middle. So I recall from an earlier build that I did of a New England style house that there is this really common detail in colonial American architecture where they had these dividers over here with these columns. And I decided to go for that. Also, I love those curtains that came with pets as well. They fit perfectly with these windows that I went with, and they just make me so happy. I also used a lot of Parenthood items as well, and I think that Parenthood and pets really work together really well because the items are just so incredibly cohesive. All of the items have this kind of like traditional contemporary feel. That's why a lot of the fireplaces that I use are actually from Parenthood. I also think I used one fireplace from Pets as well. There's 3 fireplaces in this house actually, and there's a couple of chimneys, and the chimneys actually work. I don't really know what causes chimneys to not work, but sometimes they don't. But in this case they do, which made me really happy. So we're now working on the dining room area, and I'm really happy with how it came out. Once again, it has that kind of like contemporary countryside feel. It's a little bit more laid back, especially because it's attached to the kitchen, but I imagine the people living here to be more of like city people, and then they only come here on holidays or maybe on weekends and stuff like that. So that's why I didn't really mind having no division whatsoever between the kitchen and the dining room, because you know it's a really nice casual space overall. And I also use that plant over there. I don't know what that came with actually, but I used it, and I used it a lot. I actually let's see, I used the 9 key to lift that plant up because I felt like it looked really good on top of surfaces, so that's what I did. I also threw in a nice little aquarium, the aquarium that came with pets specifically. I threw it in the foyer area, and right now we are moving in and working on this kind of like office area. So this is another really fun shaped room. It's like this, how many sides is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just call it octagon, hexagon, heptagon. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this. I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't even bring that up. But this is actually the office area. You know, I imagine the people living in this mansion to be relatively wealthy, definitely maybe upper middle class. And sometimes, you know, when you are receiving guests, you need some place to do that. So this is kind of like an office / reception area. This isn't necessarily for working. This is more for like receiving guests and stuff. So I put a desk and pretty much everything that makes sense to have in an office except for a computer, because like I said, it's not really for a working person. But yeah, I really liked how it came out in the end, and it also works as well. The outside is just so beautiful. The world of Cavalier Cove, or the neighborhood of Cavalier Cove in Brindleton Bay, is definitely one of my favorites because of the amount of detail that it has. So having these floor-to-ceiling windows completely makes sense because it opens up the interior to the beautiful outside. So I'm adding in a couple of clutter items over here. I chose to put that globe. That globe kind of like drink dispenser thing. And it does actually work. I tried to make my sim who was testing this use that globe, and it does actually work. And I also put this lighthouse lamp on the table, and then I also put like a steering wheel. It is a steering wheel, right? Like the steering wheel for boats. I put it on top of this fireplace mantle, and I thought that was a really nice nod to the fact that this was a nautical inspired house. So there's a lot more nautical stuff here in the living room, which is the room that we're working on right now. And I finally got to use that beautiful fireplace that came with pets. It's quite a large fireplace, so it's quite tricky to actually find a good use for it. But doing the living room is actually so funny because I couldn't decide on the layout at first. It was quite a challenge for me to figure out the layout because it was kind of a large room. I initially went with a more central layout for the living room furniture. But then I realized that I didn't have space for a TV. And there was no space in the house for like a family room where I could put a TV. So I decided to make the sofa face one of the side walls. And then the side wall, I made it into kind of like a TV corner with its built-in kind of like entertainment studio type of thing, if you guys get what I mean. But at that point, the living room was still quite spacious, and there was quite a lot of space left still. So I actually was able to fit in a stereo as well as a piano. So the living room is very functional. The piano is functional, the TV is functional, the fireplace is functional, and everything's functional. I tested it. I actually had so much fun playing in this house that I was a little bit sad because I knew that I was only going to be able to play in this house if I used cheats. But one day my Sims will be able to afford it, maybe in the 10th generation. So this is where I made that kind of like TV entertainment area. I do change it a little bit because I wanted to have these bookshelves instead of those counter no, those aren't counter, those are like overhead counter cabinets. So I get rid of those two overhead counter cabinets that are floor to ceiling length, and then I replaced them with those bookshelves instead. And I also used a white piano instead of a black one, which is a little bit unexpected, and I really liked it because I thought that the white complemented really well with like the nautical navy blue color that we had on the wall. And yeah, that piano works. I'm just so happy that it works. And then over here I'm using these chairs that came with pets, and I have in between them this stereo that looks really vintagey. I also used the 9 key to bring that sunflower item that came with pets up as well, because I thought that looked really good on top of a surface table. So that's what I did, and this is where I kind of like made a smaller entertainment area, and I think it works actually. I think it came out looking really nice. So this is the point where we are working on the second floor, and this gave me such a headache because look at it. Like, there's quite a lot of clipping happening on the roofs, and that is not ideally how I wanted things to work, but that's the best I can do it, and I tried fixing it, and that's literally the best I can do. So this is the room that I chose to be the master bedroom, and it was quite an interesting room. Excuse all of the noise happening outside my window. There's a lot of cars passing by and they're making so much noise. But the master bedroom has this really nice octagonal shape. Literally every shape that is in a square, I'm gonna call octagonal. But I used these columns once again to kind of give it that classic contemporary look. And instead of using your typical side tables, I actually used these display tables that came with get to work because I felt like they fit the space a lot more. And my main concern for this room was to make it have some privacy. So I had to put some windows. So I had to put some curtains on the windows. But that was possible because the windows that I actually chose worked really well with the curtains that I chose as well. So it all came out really cohesive in the end. And I also am using these living room set that came with pets as well. And then there's also this study area that has an actual computer. So I thought that the owner, whoever he is or whoever she is, she or he can... or he or she prefers to work in the bedroom instead of the office, like I do. You know, if I'm on vacation, like I wouldn't even think of working. But yeah, like maybe just checking social media. Who checks social media on the computer today? Like, because you can do it in your phone. Some people do though. I watch YouTube on my computer. I just prefer to do that. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm just adding in a couple more clutter items over here just to kind of make it a little bit more nice and homey looking. And then we're gonna be furnishing the master bathroom, which is actually the only bathroom that I'm gonna show you guys furnishing, because the rest of the bathrooms I thought didn't necessarily require me to show you guys furnishing it. There's 2 other bathrooms and both of them are full bathrooms. There's one over here in the second floor, which is kind of like a shared bathroom for everybody. The second floor bathroom, I also imagine it to be more of like the powder room or the guest bathroom. And then downstairs there is a guest room with an ensuite bathroom as well. And those 2 rooms I actually furnished off camera because I just do not have time to show it with you guys. So yeah, it was a pretty basic design anyway, so you guys didn't miss out much. And it'll be a little bit of a surprise for you guys to actually download this. Just be warned, nothing too crazy happened over there. Really just a basic bedroom and a basic bathroom for the guest room downstairs. And this room that we're working on right here, I imagine once again to be another guest bedroom. So I didn't really personalize it too much. I just gave it like some really... I guess I gave it like some very neutral furniture. I used a lot of cool colors. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing much to say about this room actually, other than the fact that I used another canopy bed. I actually used 2 in this build. The one 4-poster bed in the master bedroom and then this bed as well. And I think it was really nice. I think it's a really special guest bedroom, you know. I definitely imagine the owners living here to maybe throw extended parties and have guests stay over. So having 2 guest bedrooms isn't totally like unrealistic. But yeah, this bedroom has a TV. I think most bedrooms have a TV except for the master bedroom. I know that's a little bit weird not to have a TV in the master bedroom, but I didn't see any reason why not to have why I'm not even sure what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, all of the bedrooms have a TV except for the master bedroom. That's all I'm trying to say. And finally, this bedroom right here that we're furnishing is actually the bedroom for the only child in this house. And I imagine this child to be more of a teenager because by the looks of it, this bedroom is pretty sophisticated. You know, it's not like really messed up or it's not like overly decorated like, you know, a random child's bedroom. It's a pretty sophisticated room. So I imagine the person staying here to have a little bit more of a sophisticated palette. And, you know, they also have a cat because this is the room that I placed most of the cat items in. So the person who stays in this room also is the owner of the cat. And yeah, This room has a predominantly peach and pink color scheme with accents of white and cream, and I also carried on that brick accent as well that I used downstairs as well as on the master bedroom. And of course I had to use these cute little fairy lights. I thought that made this room a little bit more personal. And then you guys just saw me throw in like a pet bed over there, and then there is this closet wardrobe dresser. I keep forgetting like what words I'm gonna use specifically, but I'm making an effort, you guys. I am definitely trying to make an effort to improve my commentary. So sometimes I can get very absent-minded when I'm doing my commentary, so that's one thing that I'm trying to avoid. I'm just trying to be as concise as possible, and that includes my word choice. I'm trying to be as specific as possible so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, the pet bowl I placed in this room as well. That might seem a little bit weird for some people, but this room actually has 2 balconies outside, and they're very large balconies. So if you're not comfortable having a pet bowl in somebody's bedroom, you can just put it in the balcony, no problems whatsoever. I also put like a litter box in the upstairs bathroom that is not the master bathroom, and then I put a toy box for the cat or dog in one of the balconies, and then for this staircase landing I put this cat jungle. So for this really large balcony area above the kitchen, I decided to just throw in a nice little easel for whoever it is that's staying in this room, because I don't know, maybe he or she is actually creative. So that's what I did. That's also where I put the toy box for the cats as well. And underneath the easel, I also put like a tarp, because I wanted it to be realistic like that. Okay, so this is where I figured out this technique where I kind of like combined this light with these hanging plants that came with pets, and it looks awesome. Like literally I'm applauding myself right now, because that just the whole combination just looks really awesome. Like I'm just so happy that I figured it out. So because of that lighting fixture, this deck area is actually one of my favorite rooms in the entire house, alongside the kitchen and dining area and the living room area. Those 3 are my favorite rooms. I'm just so happy that I came up with it, and it's just so awesome. But anyway, this room, I mean, can we call it a room? This space has an outdoor dining area. It has a barbecue. It has a table that has gardening equipment and a juice maker. And yeah, it also has a couple of clutter items as well. So this is the table where I put like the gardening equipment that is only for decoration, and I also put this kind of like juice pitcher thing, and I had so much fun. Like the Sims can make iced tea or lemonade, and it's just so much fun role playing. I also realized that at some point EA made it possible to have drinks with food. So when my sim was having a barbecue, she also had like iced tea to go with her barbecue, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that was perfect. That small little detail just made me so happy. I used to think that this kind of like wicker basket thing, I used to think that those were suitcases, but those were actually picnic table equipment. So yeah, but I also moved the house once again in its final location because I wanted to have enough space in front for a driveway, and I wanted the driveway to have this central entrance area, so I put some guidelines using some flooring, and I just pretty much traced over it. And yeah, this driveway is actually enough space for a car, I think. I don't know, I think it looks really good. By the way, I also did some furnishing inside the garage. So there is a pickup truck inside of the garage, as well as a wood crafting table. So surprise to you guys who download this, there are furniture inside of the garage as well. You actually enter the garage from the hallway inside. So yeah, because this lot was built on a foundation, entering the garage from the outside was kind of impossible, so I still made it work. And you guys can see me actually do a little bit of landscaping here. I didn't do everything on camera because that would have just taken like a really long time. It took me about an hour and a half to do all of the landscaping, including the parts where I changed my mind. So you guys can see just a little bit of a sneak peek of the landscaping over here. So I'm using some flowers that came with Outdoor Retreat. Let's see here. I believe the red and yellow ones came with Romantic Garden, and then the rest of it is from base game, except for this like I don't even know if this is a succulent or something, but this like cactus succulent looking plant that came with pets as well, I also used that all throughout because I just thought that it looked really good. But I mainly chose those yellow and red flowers because they just look really nice. So you know, we don't really have flowers that have like really bright colors, so I kind of wish that we had those. Anyway, I also put this fountain in front because I felt like the front was a little bit bare, so I put it there. I didn't actually change the grass texture because when I tried changing the different grass, it just didn't work, unfortunately. Like the grass that we have in game, it didn't quite work with like the brushstroke looking grass that we had here, so I just left it as it is, and it's not so bad actually. You guys might notice that there are also some trees already on the front, but I didn't show me putting those because I will actually replace them later on. So there's also this nice little pool area at the back, and there's really nothing much to it. I didn't go over the top with the swimming pool. I even second guessed having a swimming pool because, you know, we live next to the beach. Is it really practical to have a swimming pool? But I did decide to have one in the end because this is a mansion after all, so you know, you have to have a swimming pool, right? And the reason why I chose to put the swimming pool in this particular side of the lot is because it is facing the beach, so I felt like that position was perfect for it, and I just kept it really simple. There's really not much furniture over here except for like a bench and also this kind of like 6-seater patio umbrella table, which by the way, I remember somebody saying that we were gonna have 6-seater indoor tables, and that just didn't happen, which makes me really sad. Also, there is a bar actually in that kind of like corner balcony over there, like near the patio table. I actually put a bar over there as well. So there's 2 bars. There's one in the office area, that kind of like globe thing, and then there's like an actual bar as well. And this is where I decided to make a garden area, which is kind of like an afterthought at first, but this actually ended up being one of my favorite nooks in the entire garden because I just really love how this kind of like garden shed looked like. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to have kind of like a greenhouse looking area where you can kind of like protect the plants from your pets. So I put some planter boxes inside, and they actually work. I planted some catnip inside of that, and it's so tantalizing because my cat just keeps staring at it and like keeps daydreaming one day to have all of that catnip. But I also put some planter boxes on the outside as well, just to give you guys a little bit more options on where to plant things. And yeah, just adding in a lot of detail over here as well. I will fill in those planter boxes like right now, and at this point I decided to add a lot more trees, and yeah, I don't know, it just looked really weird actually. That was one really big challenge for me doing this build, was to kind of like match the landscaping of the house itself to the landscaping in the surroundings. And I really didn't want to upload a house that had no trees in it. Like, because I didn't really feel like it was right. So I tried my best to put trees in a way that it kind of like worked alongside the landscaping outside the lot, and I think it did in the end. Actually, I think it all turned out really nice and cohesive. I'm making good use of the enlarge and decrease size tool over here, and I really love these trees that came with pets as well. They actually come in this autumn kind of color scheme, which actually looked really nice. And underneath the trees, I also put like some grass as well, just to add a little bit of detail. So I also put this giant tree behind the oh my gosh, there's like a motorcycle outside my window, and it's making so much noise. Sorry about all the noise, you guys. Like, I live right next to like a train station and like a major avenue, so yeah. But anyway, underneath the trees there's like some grassy areas, and over here behind this garden shed, I also put like a nice little grassy area as well, just to give it a little bit more of realism. I didn't put any trees like in the pool area because I felt like that was gonna block the view of the beach, so I just kept it really nice and simple and complimentary and all that stuff. So it looks like that is pretty much it for this build. Once again, all of the links for everything that I mentioned will be in the description below. So I just want to thank you guys so much for all of the support and for all of the love. And also, please don't forget to support everybody else who was a part of this collab, because it was just so much fun and I'm so proud of what we've done so far. So that is going to be it for my commentary for this video. Once again, please don't forget to hit that like, favorite, and subscribe button if you guys want to support the channel, because it really helps out a lot. Okay, you all have an awesome day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.